I want to be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be, living in a time where disease is on every screen, I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering, negativity is a plague for the mentally weak, no mercy, all I got is working, never stop searching, never quench the thirsty, I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it, it's been chronic, since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic,
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving, got my foot on gas, never stop competing, if you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em, make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em, if you take off the cast, you can see all the healing, if the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic, sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah, if I ever play I want it, you know that I'm always honest, stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything, it's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease, but I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy, I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity, come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless, spread just like a virus, living in a crisis, do you feel courageous, do you seek greatness, trust me you can take it, go on and take your aim, yeah.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving, got my foot on gas, never stop competing, if you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em, make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em, if you take off the gas, you can see all the healing, if the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
Welcome into the Betting Pros NBA Picks YouTube channel. Pleasure to be with you here. Mike Randall, follow me on Twitter at Randall Rant. And we come back to you with a massive 11-game slate tonight on Wednesday to give you some sides, some totals, and some props. Of course, we had a great time with the NCAA picks with March Madness. We are resting for the Sweet 16, and we are going to return now to do some NBA picks. Don't forget, folks, Wednesday and Friday for the rest of the NBA season, we give out our best consensus game picks and player props, all thanks to the experts at BettingPros.com, which is your number one source for sports betting. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel so you can join us in the live chat. Give us your best bets from around the NBA. Make sure to put them into the live chat now, and we will get to them as we go through the live stream. As always, if you're new here, books we use, DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, and BetMGM. Always important to shop around, and we do that to make sure we get the best value here for the picks. So many great deals at the sites. Sports betting continues to grow, and don't forget new users to BetMGM. You can bet $10 on any event. You'll win $150 in free credits regardless of the outcome of the bet, win or lose. Just use the promo code JUICE150 at sign up. The link can be found in the video description or pinned here in the live chat. So, folks, here we go. Let's take a look at our games tonight on Wednesday. First up, Brooklyn minus 1.5, minus 115 on BetMGM. The Nets need this game. The Grizzlies do not. It's just that simple. Nets are a tale of two locations against the spread. At home this year, Brooklyn, a league worst 8-26-1. That's 23.5% against the spread. What that means is if you bet against Brooklyn and you wagered against the Nets every single time they were home, you're hitting at an insane 65.5%. I don't know many things in our gambling world that hit at 65.5%. However, on the road, Nets are actually the seventh best team against the spread, 21-15-1. That's 58.3%. And the Nets are 7-0-1 against the spread in their last 8 road games. Call that the Kyrie Irving effect, including 5 outright wins. Memphis, no Ja Morant tonight. That worked against Houston. I don't think it works against the Nets. All the Nets have done their last 3 road games. Put up 150 points against Orlando. That was 41 points in the first half by Kyrie. He finished with 60. A 29-point win at Philly against both Embiid and Harden. That was a full roster. And then Kyrie had 50 at Charlotte, an 11-point win. Memphis is on the first night of a back-to-back, and they have 3 games in 4 days, including 5 games in 8 days. This could be a white flag game if it gets away from them early. Grizzlies 1-0 against the Nets this year. They did beat them in Brooklyn, 118-104 in early January. That was no Kyrie. That was with Harden. And Ja, who's not going to play tonight, had 36, 8, and 8. Dragic is doubtful, which means this is a heavy Kyrie game. Spoiler alert for our props coming up. The Nets defense has actually been better in the last 2 weeks. They're 10th best in defensive rating in the last 2 weeks in the NBA. I'm taking the Nets. I'm going to lay the small number in a game that I think Kyrie dominates again. We'll get to that a little bit later. So first pick here, folks, lay the small number with the Nets on the road. Next up, Celtics minus 4.5 points versus the Jazz. That's minus 114 on FanDuel. And I'm also going to follow this up with an over. Yes, an over in the Celtics Jazz game, over 215.5, minus 110 on Bet365. So 2 picks here for Celtics Jazz. Now look, sometimes the line moves in our favor, and that's what helped happen with this Celtics game. Boston is scalding hot right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. You can make a strong argument they are playing the best of any team in the NBA right now. 4-game road trip for the Celtics. 1 at Golden State, 1 at Sacramento, 1 at Denver, 1 at Oklahoma City by an average margin of victory of 17.5 points per game. That last win against the Thunder, yes, I know it's the Thunder, but they didn't have Marcus Smart and they didn't have Robert Williams, who they will have tonight. Look at the ESPN schedule with Jason Tatum and what he's done since February 26th. Just go right down the wins and take a look. Those are lottery numbers. And Tatum has 3 games in a row up 30 points or more. Now, something I noticed is that Utah can really struggle against shooting guards this year. Every time they play against a high-scoring shooting guard, they have trouble containing. Take a look at Devin Booker's numbers against them. Enter Jaylen Brown, who's a streaky player, we know, but he's on a great run right now. 26 points or more in each of the last 4, including 2 30-point games. Utah only 15, 19, and 1 against the spread as a road team. That's 7th worst in the league, and they haven't covered in 8 of their last 12 games, Utah, which is odd because you realize they are one of the best teams, but they're not doing well against the spread on the road. Defensive rating the last 2 weeks, Celtics are 2nd, Utah's 3rd. Defensive rating the last month, Celtics are 1st by a ton, Jazz are 3rd. I am going to take the Celtics and lay the small number, but I'm also going to go with contrarian play of over 215.5, minus 110. The natural reaction here is to take the under with these 2 teams, but this number has dropped way too much. It opened at 221.5. It's down to 215.5. And Utah, despite being a strong defensive team, has put up points lately, specifically Donovan Mitchell. Boston, despite their defensive prowess, has actually hit 3 consecutive overs and an over in 11 of their last 15 games. So what we're seeing here is the number is adjusting too much. That's what I'm thinking. The pace is slow, but not as slow as you would think. John Hollinger, ESPN, Utah is 13th, right in the middle of the league in pace. I think it's a close game back and forth. I think these are 2 quality teams wanting a win, and it's dropped way too far. We're going to take the over 215.5 with scalding hot perimeter play from Jaylen Brown, spoiler alert, Jason Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell in these games. So 2 picks there. Make sure to put the questions in the chat if you have any. What do you think about Jaylen Brown under 3.5 assists? Anna, it's a really good question. I see that you can get plus money on Jaylen Brown tonight on his 3-pointers. I actually like them. He's always around 2 or 3, but he's been so hot lately and Utah struggles. So I actually like the 3-point over a little bit better because of the plus money. And I also like his total points in props. As far as assists, I'm fine with it, but I do find that when I have to choose between rebounds and assists for Jaylen Brown, I should usually go with the rebounds because he's so good at getting those boards here, especially against a team like Utah. Good question. Thank you. Moving on, last one here for the sides. Folks, are we at the point where the Magic should be a favorite on the road? I don't think so. How about Oklahoma City +2, minus 110 on FanDuel? Nice win last night for the Magic. I hit that versus a compromised Golden State team, which is giving some extra value, I think, on this line. But no, Klay Thompson is playing tonight, so maybe he's a little banged up for Golden State. Magic on the second leg of a back-to-back. The Thunder only lost by 5 against Orlando in Orlando on Sunday. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Trey Mann, both went for 30-plus against Boston, with Darius Bailey chipping in 22 and 10, which is great production for him. So they've actually been able to score. Now, I know there's some questions about this. This could be a tank game. I understand that. But the Thunder have had 2 days off, and I like this spot for them at home as a small underdog. Wendell Carter is rumored to maybe sit out tonight, so the Magic may do some tanking as well, which would give an even bigger boost to the Thunder. I think Trey Mann is fine here. I think Darius Baisley is fine here. Magic going to play more Ikiki. I'm not sure about Carter out, Okiki in. I think that's a net negative for the Magic. And the Magic's perimeter defense has been rough all season. So I think the Thunder can definitely get some points up. Now, there is serious tank potential in this game on both sides. But in that case, I'll take the home team, not on the night of a back-to-back. And even if SGA sits, I still like this game with Baisley and Mann. But if SGA plays, I think this number goes in the other direction. So we are going to take, for our fourth pick here, Oklahoma City +2, -110 against FanDuel. Celtics, Utah, Sinful Saint looking to be the best game on tonight. Absolutely agree. And I like big players in big games. You know, that's been my theme here, especially with some of the props. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. But I agree. It's a fantastic game tonight. Let's transition to the player props. Make sure to get the Bet Prop cheat sheet at BettingPros. It's outstanding. BettingPros.com/cheat sheet. All the great values out there. Definitely take a look at it. We have some great projections, been hitting between 56 and 57% for our top 20 picks on the cheat sheet. All my picks as well. Make sure to follow the Betting Pros app. I put them in there every night. You can follow them as well. First up here, Spencer Dinwiddie, under 20.5 points, -114 on FanDuel. I understand that there's no Doncic tonight, and I understand they're home against Houston, which to me is blowout potential. But I think 20.5 points is too high for Spencer Dinwiddie. We haven't projected on our cheat sheet 18.3 points. That's more than 2 points below where this prop is. Brunson should do well here. You're going to have a lot of depth coming in for the Mavericks. I just think this Dinwiddie number is a tad too high. I would stay away from his points, rebounds, and assists because he'll definitely be involved. And between him and Brunson, I think it's a back and forth, but he can be very streaky from the outside. So for him to hit 21, even in a matchup that should favor him, even without Doncic, I like his usage. I just don't like his points. I think it's a tad too high. We're going to go under here. We're going to start with an under on Spencer Dinwiddie under 20.5 points. Next one, to me, this is an easy play. Kyrie Irving over 26.5 points, -116 on FanDuel. I got this at 25.5 this morning when it was on BetMGM. He's on our cheat sheet for 27.4 points. Look at what he's done, folks, the last couple of days when he's played in away games for the Nets. You're going to see tonight there is no Dragic, so I think you're going to have a lot more time on the court for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie will probably get Dylan Brooks. Forget it. Dylan Brooks is not quick enough for Kyrie. He's locked in right now. I think he's a safe bet for 30. 26.5 points. You're getting good juice, -116 on FanDuel. Second prop here we're going to go for is Kyrie over. Third one, I'm fading Kevin Porter Jr. against the Mavericks in that matchup on the road. Under 23.5 points, rebounds, assists, -110 on DK. 3 games against Dallas this year for Kevin Porter Jr., KPJ. 13.7, 3.7, 5.3. Those are his numbers. That's under this total. Road games, 22 road games, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. That's 21 points, rebounds, and assists. That's under as well. He's been good for the month so far, but that's skewed towards the beginning of March because he's been under this number in 3 of 5. The DFS treatment, when you get Dorian Finney-Smith, that's going to be tough on anyone. He's going to get Dorian Finney-Smith tonight. Dallas at home in a game they want. Kevin Porter Jr. not buying it here. Christian Wood had a big game the other night as well, so you could see some points going to him. I just don't trust KPJ. I like the under here at 23.5, -120 on DK. Going back to what I said at the beginning of this, I mentioned there to Anna about the 3-pointers for Jaylen Brown. I'm going Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points, -116 on FanDuel. It's the shooting guards versus Utah corollary. He is scalding hot. He's beat this easily in 4 straight games, including 2 30-point games during that time. Jaylen Brown at home in a big game against Utah. Top players in big games. I'm going with Jaylen Brown over as well. Sinful Saint asks, how do you feel about a beat over 31.5? I love it. There's no LeBron James in this game for Philadelphia at the Lakers. You know Embiid wants that MVP. When they get a chance to post it, I think it's fantastic. I thought about that one as well. Sinful Saints, a good one. Embiid over 31.5, absolutely all over it. I think he's a lock for 30. We're talking about 2 more points. And now with no LeBron James, I think he goes nuclear, gets like 13 to 15 in the first quarter. And the only thing you're worried about is blowout risk. But I'll take that chance there. I think that's a really good prop as well. Couple more here I want to go with. RJ Barrett, interesting. He burned me last night. I'm going to go RJ Barrett to the Knicks under 4.5 assists. I'm getting plus money at this on BetMGM plus 105. Entering the game last night, Barrett was only averaging 22.5 points without Julius Randle. That's why I went for his under, which is 26.5, but he exploded. He had 30 points and 13 rebounds against the Hawks. But you know what didn't change? His assists. Exactly 3 per game in the 3 games without Randall. Now he's on the road where he averages 3 assists per game in 32 games. So anywhere you want to cut this number up, it's 3 assists per game for Barrett. Against Charlotte this year, he's only gotten 2.5 assists, which means he's probably getting Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges causes a problem on defense. He's a problem tonight. It's a 7-point spread that could get higher on the second night of a back-to-back for the Knicks off a tough loss Atlanta. So I'm taking RJ Barrett under 4.5 assists as well. And my last prop for tonight, Mikal Bridges, over 29.5 points, rebounds, assists, minus 115 on DraftKings. This is on our Betting Pros cheat sheet. If you look at the cheat sheet for Bridges, his points projection, we're over. His rebounds projection, we're on the over. His assist projection, we're also on the over. So we don't have points, rebounds, assists on the cheat sheet, but if you break it down like that, I think we get a massive game tonight from Bridges. Bridges is the type of player who can absolutely go crazy, especially when Chris Paul is not there. Chris Paul is not there. His usage has been higher. He's been playing better. Over the last couple games, he's hit 20 or more points in 3 of those games. And this month, he's averaging almost 19 points per game, which is why we like him tonight. He's going against Minnesota. That's always friendly for the over-under. We like over-unders when you're talking about Minnesota there. Any questions, make sure to get them in the chat. I'll just give you a recap here. Remember, we have 4 picks to start the night. Team and sides and totals. Brooklyn minus 105. Get the big road win there at BetMGM. Celtics at home minus 4.5. It's creeping up now to 5.5. I still like it there against the Jazz at home, in which is a great game. The Celtics have been scalding hot. Over 215.5 in that game because I think the numbers dropped too low. I remember I had the Celtics versus Pistons a couple weeks ago. Both teams slow pace, but the problem is the number just dropped way too low. I think that's what you get here. And I also like Oklahoma City, folks. When are the Magic going to be favored on the road? I think that's a little crazy, especially coming off a big one when you're talking about tanking. Those are my 4 sides and totals. And for the player props here, make sure to check everything out at bettingpros.com/cheat sheet. Spencer Dinwiddie, we're going under 20.5 points in a big game, but not hitting 21 points. Kyrie to continue rolling on the road with these massive point totals. Maybe we'll get this by halftime, over 26.5 points. KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. with Houston in a tough matchup against DFS in Dallas, under 23.5 points, rebounds, assists. Jaylen Brown, who has been scorching hot, going against a favorable matchup at home against Utah, where he's been good, over 22.5 points. RJ Barrett, who has been scoring a lot, but now is in a unique situation without Randall there, where I think he's not going to be as much a facilitator, but more of a scorer, under 4.5 assists. And finally, Mikal Bridges, who has been scalding and involved and having higher usage since Chris Paul has been out. Absolutely like his over as well. Folks, we'll be back on Friday with Allie McCann. Allie and I have some great back and forth arguing our picks as we always do. Make sure to download that app for Betting Pros. Make sure to go to the cheat sheet as well and check it out. Put some positive comments in there. Make sure you hit the like button as well on the YouTube channel. BettingPros.com NBA picks. I will see you with Allie back on Friday.